Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Now it's very early on Sunday morning, and I mean early, I haven't even had breakfast yet. And there's a reason. I got up my normal silly o'clock, and I was going through the comments on the videos from yesterday, thank you for those. And one comment changed my whole day, because I was going to have a nothing day today. Apart from doing this video, I was going to do absolutely nothing. No watering, total relax, and try and wind down. So there's just been so much going on lately. And one comment just said, "Are you coming to the show tomorrow?" Left yesterday. And I thought, actually yes I am. Blow it. I said I'd go to one last year and never made it. So I'm off to a bonsai show. It's not far away, it's about 30 miles, but it's twisty, windy, narrow roads and all that sort of stuff, so it'll probably take about an hour. But it goes along roads that are some of the most pleasant roads to drive on in this area. One of the roads is high, and the views are absolutely stunning. So on the way back from the show, I may actually stop on a couple of points and do some sort of panoramic views. It's also wild orchid country out around there, but I won't have that sort of time to explore or anywhere near enough energy to start clambering up hillsides and stuff, so we won't be doing that today. Right, so what's been going on then? Obviously you've had the videos. The Malvern show now seems to be so long ago. I got reminded of it this morning because Lynn's put her video up of the stuff she got at Malvern. Quite a haul. I hate to think how much she spent. Whereas I didn't. You saw what I came back with. I came back with a couple of new Mazda Valias. I hadn't planned on spending a lot of money, I must admit, so I'd achieved what I planned to do. But it seems long forgotten to me. And there are no more orchid shows now for a long time. I mean, I go to this bonsai show today. It's a society display show, so it won't be massive. There's a few societies clubbing together to put the show on. There'll be a few traders there, so they better have coffee. If there's no coffee, I'll just turn around and come home. So I'll do that today. And then there's one absolutely huge bonsai show that I will be going to. I think that's about September time. It's quite late in the year anyway. That's the Heathrow Bonsai Show. That's massive. That's a hall that big that you can't see the other end of. And everybody is there. Practically every trader in the country comes to that one because it's so big. But orchid shows, Malvern was it. And it's a sad note, but it has been so well organised by Chris Barker over the years, and he's stepping down, so that was his last one that he would be in charge of the organisation. And if you think about organising something like that, it's a big deal. You've got to deal with the show committee, the show ground, to get the place for the orchid show organised. You've got to organise all the traders, including some coming from foreign countries. There's one guy there from Taiwan. That's not just a hop in the car up the road, is it? The organisation of that event is massive. And Chris has done a wonderful job over the years. All the societies have to have their tickets allocated. The societies have to have a display stand ready for them when they get there. They have to say what size they want. It's a massive thing. The interaction with all of those societies and all of those traders and where they're going to go in the hall, it's a big deal. And as I said, he's stepping down. That's his last one. So in theory, it could possibly have been the last one. I mean, the International Orchid Show has changed venues several times. Not in my time with orchids, it's always been at Malvern. But I know it was at Peterborough before that, I believe, but before my time. But anyway, it is a big deal, and it's part of a massive show. I mean, people go there for for the orchid show and get caught up in the rest of the show. You know, if you see what I mean, it's huge. You can't do it in a day, it's too big. And if you want to watch some of the arena events, then you definitely can't do it in a day. So, you know, it's a stopover job to do it properly, at least 2 days, which I have done in the past, but not this time round. So that's Malvern over and done with. I only had one orchid to take, that was the Dendrobium, under my arm here. Still going. One bloom has gone over, but I think it got knocked. So it broke the stem, because these are long-lasting blooms and the others are fine. So why did that one go? I've got a feeling it got knocked. I mean, that's something you have to accept. You hand your plant over to the team that's going to do it, unless you're part of the team, and you trust them to look after your plants, you know. And they've all got to be packed up, you know, got in a vehicle, got out of a vehicle, you know, unpacked, put on a display, and then the reverse to get them back. There is chance for damage to your plants in many of those points. Yeah? So there's an element of trust that goes into handing your plant over to somebody else. I mean, when I was a member of the Bournemouth Orchid Society, I had quite a few plants that went to Malvern that came back in a real sorry state. They didn't seem to take quite so much care as the Wessex Society do. The Wessex seem to look after the plants quite well. Right, that's that. I spent yesterday out in the sun, my second day of my archery course, and it was tiring enough that when I got home I had a cold beer because I needed a cold drink. They had no cold drinks there. You make yourself a tea or a coffee, but in that heat, it's the first time I've ran for cover. Every opportunity I got in the shade, it was hot and no breeze and out in the open. You know, it's a school playing field, so we really were exposed. And I came home exhausted. I had my beer and I thought I'll have a sit down. I fell asleep in the chair within about 10 minutes. So I was exhausted, which is why today I was going to have a totally relaxing day. But a short drive and you know, have a chat to some people at the Bonsai show, and you know, I won't be there long, probably a couple of hours, so I'll be back early afternoon. But I thought I'd get this done before I go, rather than when I come back. So that's that. And archery course. We got our certificate, which now means I can join the club. You can't join an archery club without that certificate. You have to prove you've been on a course, mainly for the health and safety side of life. You have got long pointy things travelling at high speed, and they can make quite a nasty mess if one of them hits you. So all the safety features and everything like that, and that certificate says I am competent enough to go to the club, set up the equipment, shoot, pack it away without any, you know, any injuries inflicted on anybody else or any danger to anybody else. So that's what that's for. It's got nothing to do with whether you can shoot straight or not. No, it's got nothing to do with your ability. It is purely to say that you have done all the safety and the regulations and things. So that I may or may not join the club. It's just over a half an hour drive, so it's not a million miles away. It's actually 18 miles away, so it's not far. There will be times of the year when you just wouldn't want to go because of the weather. So if you join for the year, you're not going to get a year's worth out of it because it's an outdoor sport, although they do have an indoor venue apparently that they use occasionally. But what puts me off is the setting up of the kit and setting it down again. A lot of people don't realise the targets are this big. They come to there on me. Obviously it's a circle and they're made of straw and they're that thick. And I've got a job to lift one off the ground, let alone lift it up onto the stand. You know, you've got to carry the stand out there. You've got to roll the boss, as it's called, the target out. You've got to get it up on the stand. It's all got to be strapped on. The legs of the stand have all got to be secured. You know, mallet job, big peg in the ground, strings and stuff. And somebody has to have gone out and set the lines up. Otherwise you haven't got a proper archery field. You have to have a shooting line, you have to have a line that everybody gets behind, all that sort of stuff, and you have to have a field marshal with a whistle who actually says, you know, when you can shoot and when you can go and collect your arrows. And therein lies the walking. One guy was shooting at a hell of a distance. It was taking him nearly 5 minutes to go up there and get his flipping arrows, and nobody can shoot. Nobody can do anything while there's somebody on the field. So it's all like, what are we going to do now, sort of thing. So, you know, the farther away you shoot, I mean, I said you could do it with one of those little golf buggies or a little motorised scooter or something. It's taken an age to walk out to the target and, you know, collect the arrows, walk back again. And in the meantime, nobody can do anything. And that's how it is. You know, that's the safety factor is tools down when anybody's across that line. So, you know, so be it. But I will have a think about it. I've got, the folder I came back with has got all the membership forms and the costs and everything like that. I'll have a look into it. I enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy yesterday in its entirety. It was too long. By the end of the day, you're having a job to pull the bow back with any confidence that you've gone back to the same position you did last time, because you're just getting tired. And arrows get tired. Instead of going gunk, they go yeah. You know, even the arrows get tired. So a whole day is not good. But for me, a half day, like get there for 10 o'clock and shoot till say 1, would be absolutely brilliant. Preferably on a cooler day. Totally enjoyable. And they seem a good bunch. So I may or may not do that. Obviously the big event last week was the funeral, which is over and done now. So we can leave that behind us. It all went smoothly, that's all I'm going to say on that. What else? Nothing much else coming up. Videos now can get back to some sort of normality because the frequency of me being out all day drops down to next to nothing. So we go from something to do almost every day to nothing to do. Perhaps I can look after the orchids a bit better. I do still have work to do, but the good thing is, you know, it seems an age since I've done a Sunday chat, but there have been times when I've been worried about so many of my orchids not growing at all. You know, I've held them up to the camera and said, no sign of life on this orchid whatsoever. Virtually everything has now come back into growth. In June, not April. So I'm always going to have this problem. And as a consequence, plants, I believe that a lot of these types of plants are always going to be weaker than they would have been. Because if they're not starting growing till June, when we get down to the really short days and all the temperatures drop off and everything, they won't have matured their growths. So they won't be full size. So that's how those plants are probably going to have to be. But yeah, there's signs of life and new growths on almost everything now. So they are coming on. We've got 3 plants that all look similar and all have similar blooms, and they've been an anomaly because some lazy person, I don't know who, keeps not putting the tags in the pots when they're in bloom so that we can know the difference. Well, they're doing it now. I'll show you one. One's just opened. These are odont types. One of them is tiger tail and one of them has a really long complex name, and the other one is just a hybrid. But to differentiate those 3, I needed the blooms. Well, we've got one. One's just opened. It's a branching spike. There's quite a few bloom buds on it, so it should do okay. No tag, and this one has also got a new growth coming up here. So this one's This one's doing everything. It's growing roots, it's pushing out a spike, and it's pushing up a new growth. I believe there are 2 plants in there, so the plant that's got the new growth on it is not the one in bloom. So, but yeah, that's one. They're attractive blooms. They're not huge, but a good few. And when I get round to it, I will work out which one's which from the pictures. And then the other one that will be following suit very soon is this one, which also has a flower spike, and you can see from the colour of the buds the blooms are going to be incredibly similar. That has always been the problem. And what's this one? This is 2 plants again as well, and this is the plant that's in bloom, and this one is pushing up a nice strong new growth. So they seem to be doing better now. I've got them back in a mix of moss, roots all over the place, so the change back to moss seems to be working. I will have to go very careful with watering in the winter though. I'll also have to go careful on repot dates to not leave them in their pots too long. Now that, you may or may not have noticed, there's a whiny noise in the background. Not Mojo, not the pathetic dog up in the flat up there. It's my air cleaner is on. I'll turn it off. Now if you hadn't heard it, now that it's gone off you know what it was. But it's my air cleaner that I haven't used for a very long time. And can I grab a plant to show why it's on? I noticed this last time I watered all my pots. If you remember a long time ago, we had what we believed to be mould on the leaves of all the plants. And on some of the plants it's coming back. It wipes off really easily. Now ideally it needs a cotton wool pad with a mix of some Fisan 20 and water. But that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. And it is mould. It's not the hot box, because if it was dumping sulphur all over the plants, it would have a yellow tinge, wouldn't it? This is definitely the same as it was before. There's mould getting on the plants, and it's getting on the plants worse in the places that the fans are farthest away from. So what I thought I'd do is I'd put the air cleaner on for a couple of days and completely get all the air in here through there and get rid of the, you know, the pathogens and the microscopic things that are in the air. Okay, that doesn't get rid of the mould on the plants, of course. That will have to be cleaned off manually. I'm not prepared to spray the whole grow room with a fungicide. I'm not prepared to do that because not all the plants are affected for a start. So what I'll do is I'll probably mix up some Fisan, very low mix, and just wipe the leaves off as I water them. And I'll get tired of doing that after a while, and then have another go. You know, remember where I got to, and you know, then carry on. And that will probably do the job. It did last time. You know, last time cleaned the leaves off, and that was the time when I had to clean the whole grow room. We may be getting to that state again. Just looking round, there are places like here where there is some mould showing on the plastic. Now it's lasted a long time and it wipes off very easily. Again, last time I got a Fisan 20 mix and some cloths, and we did the whole lot. We did all the shelves, they all got taken out in the garden and sprayed, and then wiped off with a cloth. Took me 3 days to do the whole lot. It wouldn't need such a massive effort this time, because it's not nowhere near as bad. It would need a quick wipe off, so we might be doing that. More work, more work. Right, workload in here, apart from keeping up with the watering because of this constant heat. This just seems no end to it. This week apparently it's going to be cooler and there might be a bit more cloud around, but still no rain. You know, it just keeps going on and on. And I mean, we've got rivers drying up and things now. No hosepipe ban here, but that'll come. That'll come eventually if it carries on like this. There's work to do in the garden, quite a bit. We didn't get much done last time Hannah was down, but she should be down again in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully. And weather permits, it'll be just typical. She comes down to help with the garden for the weekend, and it'll probably rain then, you know, when we don't want it. Anyway, the giant Shari baby up there is pushing up an enormous spike, but I'd have to move quite a few plants to get it down. And in addition to that, 2 more spikes have started. So that's got 3 spikes coming now. And the first one is branching quite dramatically. And I mean, if I count the first branch, I can see through the leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 buds on that one branch. That's going to be a pretty spectacular spike. And 2 more following on. So we have got stuff coming. As I said, everything's sort of in growth. As far as Carol is concerned, I'm going to have a batch of kikis in the future. I won't say in the near future, because I'm not prepared to take kikis off a plant unless they've got good roots. And again, if you're going to transport something to people, you don't need to do it in this heat. That's just a daft idea. So that'll have to wait. But after all the plants and everything that have been sent to me, I think most of the kikis can go to Carol, and then she can have a go at bringing those on and see how well she does. Obviously they're all dendrobiums of various sorts, but yeah, there'll be some kikis to go in that direction. 3 plants were thrown out this week, including something very sad, because having mentioned Carol, I split a plant in 2. Carol had a piece and I had a piece, and Carol's is doing really well and mine's now been thrown out because it rotted. The latest growth rotted at the base up and pushed up through the previous growth and the latest growth. Well, that's the plant gone basically, so I dumped it. And that was my Orchid. And that's the second one I've had. The first one just never grew any good, and that's now the second one. Rot got into that. You know, once that happens, you know, the plant's gone basically. So that went. What else did we throw out? We threw out... I've forgotten now. I've forgotten. Anyway, 3 plants. We're now, for the first time ever, since the number went above, dropped below 140. We're now down to 139. And they're not all mine, because some are Hannah's, some of the Phalaenopsis in the kitchen, which are doing quite well. That one of those went, that was one of the others. One of mine, not one of Hannah's. But yeah, we're still having some losses, but these are weak plants that were in a state of recovery. Not the Odontoglossum. I was just sitting there waiting for a new growth on that one, and it just keeled over. This happens. But there again, we're also having some successes with plants that didn't do well that are now doing well. So it swings and roundabouts basically. All my Restrepias are growing really well, and there's not a bloom on any of them at the moment. But there's new growths firing up all over the place. So, you know, things like that. So, yeah, it's a mix of things that I thought I was going to lose that are coming back to life, which is good. Although they haven't got much of a season to grow on this year. But this is an anomaly, and if anybody uses this stuff, let me know if you get the same problem. This piece of tree fern was a gift, so I used it. I put my Jenkinsii on it, got rid of the dead bits and put it on here. What's all this? All over the back and down here. Now there are 2 things it could be. Mould, which is probable, or accumulated salts. But bearing in mind my mounts get flushed more than they get fed, if that's accumulated salts, then this needs a soak in a large volume of clean water to get it out. So if anybody uses this tree fern, have you got similar problems? It's more likely to be mould. Doesn't really smell of mould, but even this Jenkinsii wasn't growing, and now it is. You know, you've got here, I've got the light behind me so you won't be able to see this. Here, 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 quite a few new growths coming. So this is coming back into growth late in the season, but at least it's trying. So that's that. But, yeah, so things are starting to move. This little, my last Arengus, the only one I've got left, this has got 3 spikes coming on it. 1, 2, 3. Now those are tiny blooms, but they're very attractive. And this is growing okay. It's pushing out quite a few new roots. It's several plants, it's not one, it's several. I think somebody just grabbed a handful out of the flask and put them in a pot, and I then mounted it. But it's a nice little plant. It seems to grow okay, and it seems to put up with the lower temperatures in the winter, which, you know, the others didn't like. So there we go. Other things going on. The Cattleyas I've got left are all pushing up new growths. So the Cattleyas are coming back to life, and they're 2 of the ones in holy clay pots are coming up to the point where they are going to get their repot. So that will be one of the videos in this coming week. We'll be having a go at getting a Cattleya out of a holy clay pot, giving it a clean up and promptly putting it back in one. Probably the same one. But apart from that, there are no serious planned out videos for this week. It will be workload, various things, and the idea of going over genus in the Sunday chat hasn't been forgotten, but I'm not doing it today. I don't want this to be a really long one. This is just a catch-up video basically, and we've caught up. That's about it. I'm virtually out of water. I have 1 container left, so tomorrow the RO unit will be on that all day. Top up all my stuff. I have a backup supply of RO water. The header tank for the humidifier is full of RO water. You know, there's about 30 litres in there. So I could always dip into that. I'd class it as stale water because it's been in there a long time. It hasn't been freshly produced, but that shouldn't matter. You know, it's got a lid on it. There's no algae in it because it's it's got tape all round it to stop the light getting in. Yeah, so that's a good backup should I be short. Like tomorrow, I'm not going to do it today. They're going to get a miss because basically because I'm going out. But the mounts will need watering tomorrow. I've got enough for that, and the RO unit will be on tomorrow. So, you know, the containers will get topped up as the day goes on. That's that, and yeah. Thanks to all my subscribers as usual, and the people who comment, and the people who do the thumbs up. All of these things help with the channel. Thanks to the patrons, and thanks to the membership people who've joined as a member of the channel as a form of support, and the odd buy me a coffee, and the odd super comment, I think they're called. I'm not quite sure, but there is a way you can leave a comment and a donation at the same time, and it lights up. So it really stands out in all the comments as you're scrolling through. So there was one in today's lot that I was looking at. So anyway, thanks for all the support in whatever shape or form you're prepared to do when times are hard. But they're not hard for everybody, but for some they are. Times are troubling. Yeah, so thanks a bunch for everybody who supports the channel. And yes, another thing, going to the bonsai show today, I get a bonsai video. They're difficult to do this time of year. That channel is never going to fly. There are other bonsai channels. Most of the bonsai channels that I watch are UK based, and some of those are growing at a reasonable pace. They've got hundreds of trees and can do a video on most days. Well, I can't do that. I haven't got hundreds of trees. I don't know how many I've got, but it's probably less than 20. And this time of year there's not a lot to do. And in the winter there's not a lot to do. So there's periods where there's just not a lot to do. And if there isn't a lot to do, there isn't anything to film, is there? So that's always going to be slow, that bonsai channel. So be it. But it's a little extra thing, you know, that I've got going on that I quite like. So there we go. Right, I'm going to leave it at that for today. Thanks for joining me. Some sort of normality by having a Sunday chat, because it feels an absolute age since I did one. And we will, as from now, I believe there is a normality getting back to the channel, where we will plod along doing the things that we enjoy doing, and some of the things we don't enjoy doing, like getting cattleyas out of holy clay pots. I have a list of words that I am allowed to use, and I've got a lot of words that I use that you're not allowed to hear. And most of those will be employed getting a cattleya out of a holy clay pot. That will be fun. Question mark. Right, I wanted to make this comment. I'm not having a go at anybody in particular, and I don't mind people asking questions in the comments, but I get a little perturbed when the answer to that question in elaborate form is on the end of a simple Google search. Now, it's a little bit lazy, isn't it? Put the onus on me to go and do that search. I mean, I might know the answer and can just type it out, but you know, there's an awful lot of information out there. You've only got to ask Google and you'll get most of the answers you want. But if you've got every answer you want, then there'd be a waste of time having the Orchid channels, wouldn't there? So, you know, swings and roundabouts. I don't mind people asking questions, but you know, they can get too simplistic and you sort of think, well, I mean, an example, I'm on Facebook, I'm a member of quite a few groups, and I'm a member of 2 butterfly groups. Now, I think there are around 55 species of butterflies in the UK. You could class 20 of those as common. 5-year-old kid would know the name of it, and you're getting people posting a photo of something like a peacock butterfly. If you don't know what it is, have a look, Google it. And they're saying, could I have an ID for this please? That is just laziness. At the end of the day, if you Googled British butterflies, you get a picture of all of them, and you go, oh, that's the one. There's an element of laziness creeping in here. If you've got the ability to get on YouTube, you've got access to the internet. If you've got access to the internet, you've got access to one of the search mechanisms, one way or the other. You could just ask that dopey system where you can ask questions. Siri, you could ask Siri, you know. Anyway, it all makes for a varied world, doesn't it? So, yeah. Anyway, as I said, ask questions by all means, but sometimes, very rare, depends what mood I'm in, you might get a sarcastic answer. You get that sort of, I get that Blue Peter thing, like, you know, do it yourself, I think it's called. Anyway, thanks for dropping by, see you again, and as I said, I've got no idea what videos are coming up this week, apart from Project Orchids on Friday, that'll be Orchid number 5, whatever that is. And at least the cattleya repot, one of them. I may not do both in one go because they are a little strenuous mostly. I mean, they might just come out easy, but I doubt it. They do attach quite firmly to clay pots. So that will be one, and we'll see what else we can get up to. And obviously any new blooms that pop up. Yeah, good stuff. And once again, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.